We're out driving Hyundai's 2015 Genesis today on a first drive here on Rumblestrip.NET and 10-minute test drive to see, is the second generation going to set a new standard when it comes to value and luxury? We've spent a couple hours driving a couple different versions of the 2015 Hyundai Genesis, and we are hugely impressed with this vehicle. We have driven both a 3.8 liter V6 in all-wheel drive and the car that we're driving currently right now, which is the 5 liter V8 in rear-wheel drive. The suspension tuning, which has been done by Lotus, shows by miles on this vehicle. What hopefully we can demonstrate in a few of the roads around here, and jumping on the throttle just to get around some traffic as the road narrows here, is that just in normal mode, the suspension compliance is amazing. Hyundais have been known for a long time for having good suspension, but it was rather harsh, or it sounded and just didn't feel nice, for the lack of a better term. I mean, it was very, when you went over a bump, you knew you went over a bump, and it just didn't, it made a noise as the suspension worked, and you're just like, a bit. In normal mode, I don't want to call it comfort mode, but just like in normal driving, as 95% of the people who are going to drive this vehicle will have it in, it really is an amazing ride. One of my drive partners over today has done a lot of work, and actually used to work with Lotus, and is very in tune to the subtleties of suspension tuning, and even he was hugely impressed at the job that Hyundai has done with this, and also with the tuning that Lotus was able to do as well. You put it into sport mode, and yes, it does firm up quite a bit, but not obnoxiously so. It's not stiff, but you feel things a little bit more. What we wish we could do is have suspension and sort of the engine steering separated a little bit, because we really like the ride in normal, but we really prefer the steering and the throttle response in sport. Now, just in normal, it's fine. In fact, it's probably what is right for, again, 95% of the people who are going to be driving this. Now, this is going to be competing with vehicles like the Lexus GS 350, ES 350, the new Cadillac CTS, also to a point of the Audi A6, BMW 5 Series, and also the Mercedes E-Class is also very much targeted by this vehicle. What Hyundai is really doing here is what Hyundai does best: equip a car very well and price it very aggressively. So, for example, you could get their top-line trim 3.8 in all-wheel drive and walk away with change from about $51,000, which is really, really good value, considering if you want the Lexus or the Mercedes, you can count on spending somewhere between $12,000 to $20,000 more for a similarly equipped vehicle. And one thing where sometimes Hyundai misses, sometimes they get it right, is in the interiors. And here in the interior of this 2015 Genesis, they got it right. Dash materials are nice. The leather is very supple. There's some excellent wood in here, and it's real wood. It's not, some kind of dipped wood look. It's actual real wood with a nice matte finish. It really lends a bit of elegance to the vehicle, and we've been very impressed. The nav system is Hyundai's award-winning nav system. We really like it. It's a 9-over-9-inch touchscreen, and you also have the jog dial down here. There's a Lexicon sound system with between, depending on which nav system it's equipped with, either 14 or 17 speakers, which this one is pretty good. Like it, I haven't really been able to push a lot of music through it in this drive, but it's a pretty good quality sound system. But what really continues to impress us is the ride quality. It is tremendous. We're driving over some horribly crappy roads right here in an upscale neighborhood, believe it or not. Just the winter has been that bad. And we're in sport mode, and it just sucks them up like it's nobody's business. We go to normal mode, and you feel the suspension relax just a little bit, and it just glides. It just sees the bumps and goes over it, and you went over it because you can kind of hear it, but it doesn't transfer in a bad way into the cabin. It just can't tell you how impressed we are by this. Styling in this vehicle is what Hyundai is calling their Fluidic Sculpture 2.0. Like it. It's bold. It's aggressive. The front end, you could say, well, it's sort of Audi-ish, or you could be a lot of vehicles these days that sort of have that trapezoid, big, aggressive trapezoidal grille to it. But it works on here. It looks good. It looks good from almost every angle. The back end could use, maybe a little bit more styling, but it's fine. It's no. When the people who are buying this vehicle aren't going to want something like cutting edge styling, but they'd like to, have something that looks good, and this certainly does. We have heads-up display, heated, cooled seats. I think 15 different adjustments to the seats. It has pretty much everything you would want in a luxury car. So just in a first drive and a first impression, like we said, we've only had a couple hours with it. Really, really impressed with this. This really has to go to the top of your shopping list if you are looking for, that's our collision alert warning. If you're looking for a mid-size luxury vehicle, this is a vehicle that should be at or near the top of your list. And if we had to pick one, we'd probably skip, at least in this area, because of weather reasons, we'd skip the V8, which is only available in rear drive. We'd go for the 3.8, which has plenty of power. I mean, it's not hugely fast, but it's quick enough. More than ample power. And we would get it with the all-wheel drive. It handled well, rode well, was very quiet. But when you stuck your foot into it, it made a good noise. So we look forward to driving this again in a couple of months and spending a week with it. But we walk away as a first impression is hugely impressed by this vehicle. We think Hyundai has got really a home run on their hands here. I think they're projected to sell maybe 30,000 a year, and they're going to sell every one of those things. Really an excellent vehicle. This is something you should go out and drive if you're in the market for this type of vehicle.